Hello bronies, it's me, it's Clayton again, and I just got out of seeing the episode Spice Up Your Life. Again, it's odd to see how these episodes have messages that I can relate to, based on the things that have been going on in my life. But let's get to the story. The story in this episode actually revolves around a cutie mark mission. Well, you know the cutie mark missions that were going around in Season 5? Well, we have another one, which is the first one we've had ever since the Season 5 finale. So, this one involves Pinkie Pie and Rarity going over to Canterlot to help out a struggling family with their restaurant. A struggling Indian restaurant that's owned by a father and daughter named Coriander Cumin and Saffron Masala. Yeah, interesting names, I must say. They're struggling to really succeed in Canterlot because their restaurant hasn't been rated by a particularly picky critic named Zesty, who sort of reminds me of the critic from Ratatouille, if you get what I mean. So it's up to Rarity and Pinkie Pie to help out this Indian family with their restaurant before, it fails and they end up out of business. So I really did like this episode because it has a dynamic that we haven't seen a lot recently. The dynamic between Andrea Libman's Pinkie Pie and Tabitha St. Germain's Rarity. I mean, I love how completely different these two are, yet how well they work off each other. Andrea Libman's constant, upbeat persona and her huge amount of energy really makes her very interesting to watch. And mixing that with Rarity's sophisticated tone and, at times, equally energetic personality when it comes to the things she likes also makes her pretty entertaining to watch as well. Not only that, but the new characters, in my opinion, were pretty fun to watch too. Coriander Cumin and Saffron Masala had a good dynamic between a father and daughter relationship, even though we've seen the father-daughter in a business and struggling to get it working dynamic. We've seen that before in other films. This episode had a different feel to it than a lot of other episodes, as it felt more like a Bollywood production. For those who don't know, Bollywood is a type of film that's very popular in India. In fact, India is the only country that makes more feature films than America does. Not because I've seen this type of story done in Bollywood films before, but that also focus on a father and daughter relationship. Of course, it doesn't help that the song is also Bollywood based. Speaking of which, let's talk about the song. It's gonna work. I love the fact that the song has that Bollywood styling with the Indian instruments and the beat that goes along with it and the great duets between Pinkie and Rarity. It makes it a really catchy tune to listen to, even if it's out of context with the episode. And yeah, out of all the songs this season, that's the one that's been getting stuck in my head the most. So that's definitely a plus. I also liked the message of the episode, that you shouldn't let a critic control your thoughts when it comes to enjoying something. Ironically, a couple of days ago, I was saying the same thing about Warcraft, how people shouldn't let the critics decide whether or not Warcraft's a good movie or not. You should just go into the movie and see it for yourself. It's okay to criticize something, just don't be a jerk about it and don't think you can control other people's thoughts about it. I wish some critics today would actually see that. Not just film critics, but also food critics like the ones that we see like the one we see in this episode. Now, I've actually never been to a lot of Indian restaurants, but I like the fact that this episode emphasizes more that you should stay true to who you are, either as a person or as a culture when it comes to the place you make, and you shouldn't try to, copy other places' decors and other places' food to get yourself noticed. I mean, copying something else isn't making yourself unique, that's just repetition. Being unique and offering something different for people is clearly the way to go. So, I really did like this episode overall, though I did sometimes have a few questions, like, since these are the first two Indian ponies we've seen on the show, does that mean, they come from another part of Equestria that we haven't seen before? It makes me wonder. And I know Lee Tokar did the voice of Coriander Cumin, and I couldn't stop thinking of Apu from The Simpsons. Just think about it. They have sort of the same voice, and they sort of have the same mannerisms. Heck, even Saffron Masala sounds a tiny bit like Apu's wife. It makes me wonder if the writer, Michael Vogel, had them in mind when making this episode. Yeah, so I really liked the dynamic between Pinky and Rarity. I really liked the dynamic between Saffron and Coriander. And it really got me interested in the story that they were telling. And overall, this episode was actually fairly well-paced and well-written throughout. Odd, considering Michael Vogel, this is his first episode that I think he's written alone. Or, if not the first episode he's written, in general in My Little Pony. So, props to him for making this episode idea work, especially since it's a story that I've seen many times in different Bollywood films. But since I'm just a well-versed adult when it comes to these types of films, I can understand why he went for that type of style. So, with a great song, great character moments, great new characters to add to the mix, and not to mention a message that tells people to think for themselves and to not, be mindless followers of critics who might not see the true brilliance of certain things, I give Spice Up Your Life an 8 out of 10. Now, this might be the last review for quite a while, considering that we're going into another hiatus. So, until another My Little Pony episode comes out, this is Clayton Martin, signing off.